And I'm Melanie.
The New Trials of Captor Sakura, Syaoran, and Friends is a popular ongoing fanfic by Wishluv, and it's based off of Clam's Captor Sakura. And in each episode, we'll do a deep dive of a chapter. Let's get into it. Well, in this chapter, we get a pretty significant bet between Syaoran and Aaron. So my question to you are there any bets that are like coming to the surface that you recall that are big ones? Because I know you like to bet. Uh, it's like we're watching what was that show, The Circle, and then there's this character, I know one of the contestants. He like barely has his shirt on half the time, and then when it was time for his big reveal, Melanie's like, I bet you that he's not gonna have a shirt, and I'm like, no, he's gonna have a shirt. She's like, no, I bet you he's not gonna have a shirt, and whoever wins, like whoever loses, like, or sorry, the winner gets the other person to buy them dinner, and then in the end, he came in with a shirt, and then Melanie bought me dinner in Kansas.
Yeah, I was gonna mention, that was like right before you came to visit me. Oh, that's so funny. I was like, I make a lot of bets, do I? And then, oh, that's so funny. The only one that's kind of popping to the surface of my mind is, so back before Taylor started dating Travis, I wasn't too much of a Chiefs fan. Have always grown up being a Raiders fan. I have a lot of family in California, and this is back when the Raiders were in Oakland, California. And I don't know, I always just grew up liking the Raiders. So anyways, when I was working at a LASIK practice, one of the doctors I worked for, he was one of the sponsors of the Chiefs, so he would get tickets and stuff all the time. And there was a game where it was going to be Chiefs and Raiders coming up, and I was telling everyone how, like, oh my gosh, I really wish I could win these tickets, but if I go, I'm going to be decked out in my black and silver and blah, blah, blah. And then I don't even know how it happened, but one of the girls that I worked with, like, she made a bet with me, and I'm trying to even remember what the bet was. Oh, I know what it was. We had this coworker that always came in late, like every day it was something, like her car broke down or whatever. And so this girl, she was like, okay, she's like, let's make a bet. She's like, I say that, I won't name drop her, but she's like, I bet so-and-so is actually going to be on time today. And I said, no way. I bet she's going to be like 25 minutes late. And it's going to be like a car trouble. Grandma died. Like, it's going to be something. She goes, okay. She's like, and I had won the tickets at this point, by the way, in the contest. I already had won the tickets. And so she's like, okay, well, if I win, you have to wear Chiefs to the game this weekend. And I was like, solid. I was like, I'm totally going to win. I don't even care. This girl came in 5 minutes late for the first time, or 5 minutes early, for the first time in her entire life. And I held up my part of the bargain. I wore Chiefs to the game that weekend. I took a picture in it. I stayed in the Chiefs the whole time. But it's kind of funny because now, fast forward, 15 years later, and now I'm a pretty decent big Chiefs fan because of Taylor and Travis. But anyways, that's the only one that's sort of coming to the surface of my mind. How about you?
That was my story, the one I told at the top.
Uh,
I'm not a betting person. It's like my ex and I, we used to do sushi bets. So it's like, if whatever he thinks it's right, we'll go get sushi. Whatever I think it's right, we'll go get sushi. So it's like, not much of a betting person.
well, now this is making me think, because then this past week I was in Florida for work, and one of our big trainer guys is a big Eagles fan, and of course, I'm now a Chiefs fan, and we just had the Super Bowl with those two teams. So on that last Monday dinner we got to wear kind of casual clothes. So I came decked out in my like Taylor Swift Chiefs stuff. He came decked out in his Eagle stuff. So we made a bet that evening that whoever wins has to wear that team to our next meeting in June. So guess who's going to be decked out in Eagles in June now. So anyway.
Wow, you really don't have luck on that front.
I don't. You would think I would learn at this point. And hey, I even lost my bet with you. I even owed you dinner. So maybe I shouldn't gamble. Although you were a lovely dinner date.
Ah. So today we'll be discussing chapter 39, Impulse. It was released December 26, 2001, which was the same day as the last chapter, so Wish-chan was very generous to the fandom that Christmas.
And not to cut you off, but like last chapter when you were like, I'm pretty sure this was supposed to be one chapter and she split it. At first I couldn't quite remember what happened in this chapter and I was like, maybe. But then when I was listening to the audiobook for this chapter, I was like, okay, yeah, Priya is 100% correct. It's supposed to be one big chapter.
Well, I know Wish-chan. I don't know when she'll update, but I know Wish-chan. Okay, the word count is 10,747 words, so this is the shorter half. It's September, the characters are in 9th grade, so moving on to the summary. After school during soccer practice, Aaron pushed Syaoran into making a bet with him to see whom Sakura would choose, and the loser must leave the winner alone after she makes her choice. Aaron tried to charm Sakura while walking her home, but she cut him loose before getting to Syaoran's and didn't answer him when he asked if he had a chance. Sakura, Syaoran, Ariel, Miho, and Kai gathered at Syaoran's to celebrate the capture of the Phantom. They talked about the broken sword and how it was an imitation of the Lee clan 5-4 sword. It wasn't in Syaoran's possession since he had a feeling that the Lee clan might want a new chosen one. They also talked about how Syaoran was close to becoming a level 1 magician, known as the highest level and for its rareness. Miho stated that she was learning magic to find her brother, and told the group on how he was an upstanding student who excelled in everything. We also learn that Miho's mother was in the hospital nearby. They were talking about family when Kai stated that a person couldn't be dependent on their families forever. When Miho challenged him, he questioned her on what if her brother did not come back as the same person. She said she just wanted to know if he was alive, and Kai apologized for being blunt. The group went home after Miho admitted that she knew about Sakura living with Syaoran all along. The next day, the Star-Crossed cast was bustling about. Sakura talked Kai into participating, and Tomoyo had him paint a set. When he created a stunning garden background, he was horrified and ruined the piece to hide his true talent. In the end, he settled in the role of a lighting and technician man and worked hard at his position. That evening at dinner, Sakura was getting excited over the fact that her family was returning the following week, and Syaoran felt disappointed with the news and annoyed, since he felt that Sakura must have been bored with him. Sakura told him she was grateful for his hospitality and asked about what he was thinking about that morning, but since Kai was there, he kept quiet. However, Kai left when his laptop indicated Melin was in Japan, and he met her at the airport with his motorbike. Syaoran asked Sakura if she liked Aaron, and she told him not in the way he might think. Then, following impulse, he asked Sakura to go out with him. Melin's entrance with Kai saved Sakura from answering. She planned to stay for 2 weeks while her class was on a trip, and brought Syaoran his father's old sword to replace the one the Phantom broke. That night, Sakura told Melin she wanted to give Syaoran a thank you gift. The next morning was chaotic as usual, with Sakura running around screaming that she was late. Melin went to wake up Kai and was embarrassed to catch him shirtless. Syaoran packed Sakura a huge lunch for his ongoing plan to feed her so that her brother would know she lost weight. After Sakura zoomed off with Kai on his bike, Melin accompanies Syaoran to find a carpenter to fix the Kinomoto's broken door. She told him that he was better for Sakura than Aaron, and he told her that Kai seemed to have good intentions. Melin laughed at his matchmaking attempt. When Syaoran told Melin on how he didn't get an answer from Sakura after asking her out, she made him promise that he'll do it again. So you're getting some major foreshadowing right from the beginning, where Syaoran point blank tells Aaron that unless Sakura says, "I hate you, Syaoran, get out of my life," he would see to it that Aaron and Sakura would never get together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That doesn't seem to faze Aaron, who said that he wanted to pursue Sakura and calls Syaoran out on liking her too. But like, come on, this is an open secret. Everybody knows Syaoran loves Sakura, except for Sakura, of course. But uh,
Right.
so this opens the door to the bet, which Syaoran was initially opposed to. So points there, I guess. But Aaron sweet talked him into making the bet with him regardless, and he assured that everything will be fair and the loser wouldn't interfere. And like, I could understand why, like, not to get interference with Aaron. That's pretty worthy.
I think Wish Chan was in, because I think this timeline kind of adds up with I think Wish Chan was in her rom com era of like she's all that and and like those types of movies where the boys make a bet on the girl to XYZ.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a trope. I like it. I like it. It's one of my favorites. But should Shaoran have told Sakura about it? Obviously. But anyway.
Yeah. So now after school, Aaron offered to walk Sakura at home after school and asked if she liked Sharon. She didn't answer, managed to shake him off before they got too close to Sharon's. But before they parted ways, Sakura admitted that she was afraid of ghosts, and Aaron said his weaknesses were spiders and ... her. So if Sakura wasn't clear about his intentions before, he really spelled it out now. And honestly, the blunt way is the way to do it because Sharon's not getting anywhere.
I mean, with Sakura, she's the type of girl where you gotta just be straightforward. And I mean, I was like that too. Like I was the last person to catch up on any type of clue that someone liked me. So the ones like the I was the type too. It had to be spelled out to my face. Otherwise, I had no idea. But it's just so funny. Also, I feel like before we get too far into this, and Priya, I know what you're gonna say, but my acting in this chapter was subpar at most, and my add-on voice kept going in and out. My shout-on voice was terrible. So, anyways, apologies that this chapter was not great, but I promise that the rest of Arc 3 I get better. But Priya, I know what you're gonna say, but
It's the beginning. You were rusty. We took a break. You're just remember like how what you said about Arc 1 in the very beginning, how choppy you were, but then you got better. So that's it. We're just getting back on the bike. Everything's great. I had a fantastic time listening to the chapter.
well, thank you. But if this taught me anything, I'm not gonna take too big of a break between Arc 3 and Arc 4. I'm just gonna start just grinding it out.
You need breaks. Breaks.
Keep my voice where it needs to be.
Okay. All right. Well, we're not there yet. So so the gang got together at Charon's to celebrate the capture of the Phantom and Ariel's return with her friends. Sharon was a bit hurt that Sakura didn't ask him to walk to her home. It's okay. They talked about sealing the crystal, and Sharon was so sweet with his compliments and how she sealed the Phantom. At this moment, we're getting major words of affirmation. And that's good, because usually Sharon, he's like, he doesn't really say much. But
Yeah.
Arc 3, he's stepping it up.
What? Okay, we're gonna go on a tangent here. What do you think is Sakura's love language, and what do you think is Shaoran's? I'm curious.
Um, let's see. Physical touch, not really for them. Um, gift giving,
Yeah,
that's Sakura.
I can agree with that. She's really good at giving gifts and making them special and have meaning. Yeah, I can
Yeah,
definitely see
so
that.
so the one for, but that as for the one like where you receive words of affirmation, because like this goes back to CCS and her unbreakable spell of everything is going to be all
Mm-hmm.
right.
Mm-hmm. And then I can see Shaoran's being active service because he
Mm,
likes to cook for people,
yeah.
or like he likes to make her like that, like when he made her the cherry blossom
Yes.
firework in the sky. Then he in here pretty soon he'll make her the cherry blossom chiffon cake, and so I could see that being his, and then I could see his number two being quality time. I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no,
Anyway.
for sure. I think we nailed it on the head. That's sweet. Because even like her birthday, where it was like the cherry blossoms weren't out yet, and he tied the pink ribbons on the tree.
Yes, yep. Acts of service. Acts of service.
Yeah. um, we learned that the sword got slashed. We learned that the sword that was slashed was a practice sword, and the Five Force sword was always with the elders. Now, this gets us in a conversation of level 5 to level 1 magicians. And I like the way that they mentioned that Asuma and Fujitaka are level 5 because that kind of gives us a baseline.
Hmm.
And then level 4 magicians have the potential of gaining more powers. So that's early Miho and early Sakura. They put both Kinomoto siblings and Syaoran in the level 3 category during the CCS era, since Toya was able to see Nadeshiko and Yue. Sakura was doing all of that contract magic, and Syaoran was basically trained since he was a child.
Hmm.
Miho is level 3 now. But now that we're in new trials, Sakura and Syaoran are level 2 magicians, but it looks like Syaoran has more of an edge.
Yes, and I think this whole conversation is kind of a foreshadow of the duel that we're gonna get because all these levels of stuff I believe is brought up again that chapter, and then it's brought up more towards like the plague and stuff too. So I
Mm-hmm.
think this is all just kind of like Wish Chan doing the building bricks that's gonna lead to future conversations.
Yeah, and like remember the chapter with the whip where like Shaoran he like shielded Sakura from getting like the brunt of it, and I think
Mm-hmm.
like later on arc 3 Ariel is going to like push back and say, "Hey, that was supposed to be for you, but he took it, and that's why he's stronger."
Mm-hmm. That's ringing a bell.
Miho talks about how she hopes developing her magic might find her brother. Then they go on about him with Kai being in the same room, which must have been really awkward.
That's what I was gonna say. Like Kai just kind of sits there quiet through the whole power level 1 discussions. Like, like he kind of just blend into the background. Like I'm surprised like Sakura didn't be like, well, what's your level? Like his powers are never really brought up. They are towards the end of this arc a little bit, but I thought that was funny. And then Miho just starts talking about her brother, and he's just sitting there. That's so funny.
Ah. Miho says she only has one picture left of her brother, which she had with her and shared with Sakura. Miho also opens up about her mother and how she was at the Kinoshi hospital. But even though the hospital was nearby, she was too scared to visit and feared that Miara wouldn't recognize her. But Sakura encourages her to visit, which is really sweet. So, Kai, his only comment. Oh, yes.
Oh no, I was gonna bring this up, so perfect. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so Kai's only comment is that we can't be dependent on our families forever, so might as well learn to be independent. And that just reminds me of like a Facebook post that's been circling around. It's like parenthood is raising your children for them to live without you. And I'm like, oh. So it's like now that I'm a mom, and Felix is so little. He's only 8 months, so it's a long, long, long road. But like the road will come.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm in a slightly different boat because of reasons, but yeah, it is. It's hard to imagine though. It's hard. I will say though, my comment about this is going to be, I just love how Wish Chan writes his character in this scene because I think it could be very easy to make him the sympathetic, loving brother, being like, oh, it's okay, Miho. It's okay you don't want to go see your mother. But I love how, like, he's already kind of calling her out on her BS, basically. And he'll can kind of continue to do that throughout this arc, too. I like that he's always pushing Miho to better herself and to, like, step out of her comfort zone and do things. And I think that's so true of what I don't know if your brothers do that to you, but my brothers do that to me constantly. Like especially my younger brother, I call him Mams, but my younger brother Matthew and I were super close. But like even though we're like really close, he'll still call me out when I say stuff that's like completely like off base. He'll be like, "Why are you doing that?" Like especially like right before I accepted this position, I was talking to him about it and I was kind of talking myself out of it a little bit. I was like, "I don't know, it's completely new and I don't know if I'm qualified for it. I don't have a bachelor's degree." And he's like, "Stop, stop. Why are you talking down to yourself?" He's like, "Just buck up, buttercup, and just do it." And he's like, "And then if you hate it, stay with it for a year, then go somewhere else, you know?" So I think it'd be very easy to write his character like in a sympathetic way, but I just love how Wish Chan steps into like what an actual brother would do, and I just love it.
Yeah, and
Anyway.
the thing is though, if he was McKay, she would just be hanging on every word and like whatever he suggests, whatever advice he gives, she's gonna just latch on without thinking. But now that he's kind of hidden in a different role, someone who she doesn't really care uh, for him to say it, she's not gonna just eat it all up, but she's actually gonna take
Hmm.
it, think about it, and whether she wants to follow the advice or not, that's gonna be on her.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so Mio disagrees, and this is when Kai flat out asks her what would she expect if she did find him. And then she said that she would accept him no matter what, even if they couldn't turn back the clock to when everything was innocent. Now that we are where we are in Arc 4, I'd say that Kai is the one trying to recreate the past.
That's so true. I didn't even think about that.
And Miho is the one who's better equipped to face the reality of the new relationship.
That's so good, Priya. That's so funny. I didn't even my brain didn't even go there, but you're so right. You're so right. So funny.
That's the fun part of having like spoilers spoilers podcast. We can jump ahead, we can go back, but that's pretty much what happens. In the end, everyone agreed that they would help Miho. On her way out, Miho admitted that she knew SNS were living together all along, like Melanie mentioned.
So funny.
There's 2 weeks left until the day of the production. Everyone was running after Tomoyo to fix all of their problems. Kai was trying to drown the chaos by turning up the volume of his Sony Discman, which is a really cute Y2K sign of the times.
Hmm.
Sakura convinces Kai to participate in the production, and Tomoyo got him to paint the scenery. He lost himself in the moment and painted a garden. Melanie, you and Kai have something in common because you painted the Alice in Wonderland garden for Luna when she turned 4 a couple years ago.
Indeed, yeah, I do love to paint. It's one of my. I don't have a whole lot of time for it anymore, but it's definitely one of my favorite pastimes.
It crushed me when he trashed his painting. That was so sad.
It is kind of funny though how he made it this beautiful garden, and when they call it a garbage dumpster truck or something, I forget what the exact quote is that it changes into. Let me see if I can find it. Quote is, "Immediately, the picturesque garden turned into a gloomy, dirty-looking garbage dump."
Kai, why?
And actually, Wish Chan was a little bit ahead of the times because now calling something what's it called, like a garbage fire or whatever
Oh,
is like
dumpster fire.
dumpster fire. Thank you. Like now calling something a dumpster fire is like, sort of like this. So it's kind of funny that Wish Chan was kind of the head of the times. A gloomy, dirty looking garbage dump.
Oh, Kai.
Oh, it makes me like cry. It's so funny to me.
Tomoyo has a moment with Syaoran where she forces him to face the fact that it's fine to skip over kissing Sakura during rehearsal, but he has to make it look real during the performance. But if it was anyone else, it would have been like a real disaster because you know what they say, practice makes perfect. Like in season 13 of Degrassi, there was like a couple who, like two actors whose characters got together, and their kissing was so awkward that the director was like, okay, just find a corner, practice kissing, because it's pretty awful. So they went to the prop room to practice kissing, and then one of the workers like walked in on them and was like, "Oops, sorry," thinking that he was interrupting a hookup.
Is this the season I watched, or is this another one?
No, this is season 13. So this is like because when you watched the Drake era, that would be 2004, 2005. So this is like a decade later.
Got it. Another famous one is Harry and Hermione. Like, they didn't really practice their kissing scene before, and so then they had to do it in front of everybody. You know, and they're like siblings at this point. And Rupert Grint literally got kicked off the set because he kept like cackling, laughing in the background. And so literally, I forget the director of this one, but like he sent him out. He's like, "Get him out of here." He's like ruining all the takes. That's so funny.
I think I heard that story. That's really funny. But that's the thing. Like, you have to practice to make it look real. If you're just going to avoid it, it's going to be awkward.
Oh, and if you guys are playing NT the Pod drinking game, Melanie mentions Harry Potter. Take a drink.
Going strong, Arc 3. After some hijinks, Kai appointed himself as lighting and technician man, and he excelled at the position. Clearly, he was bored of his laid-back Kai facade after all of the Kai-2 magician escapades. That's my theory.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's so good at tech. Like, I mean, he does such a good job, too. So
yeah, because, like, imagine you're the Kai-2 magician, and it's, like, heist, run away from the police, heist, run away from the police, and then you become, like, a high school student. It must be so boring for him. That's why he's, like, constantly skipping classes. So, like, I think that's, like, I'm guessing that's the main reason why he joined Starcrossed.
Well, and I think he's a genius.
Oh,
right,
yeah, he is.
Even the classes he sits in, he has to not only be bored, you know, but just academically bored too.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think this gives his mind a challenge and something to do. So I think I agree with you. I think that's why he puts effort into it. It's something he's good at, and it's challenging for him for once.
Yeah, because even later on, I think in Arc 4, he just doesn't show up at school, he fails, but then he, like, does so well that he skips a grade, so he's kind of, like, back on track. Yeah, Kai can do anything. At Syaoran's, Sakura was super happy because Toya and Yukito were coming back in a week. Syaoran was a tad offended, but Sakura did try to tell him how grateful she was. Sakura also wanted to know what Syaoran was thinking about for 4 hours, but he wasn't going to spill his guts in front of Kai, who invited himself to dinner. Speaking of which, Kai's tracker was activated, and he gleefully said that Meilin was in Japan, which melted my shipper heart.
This whole scene coming up, I was just beside myself in joy doing it in the audiobook. I love it. I love all their scenes together. She's my favorite one to voice by far, because I just love voicing her. And then Kai's the easiest guy voice me to do, and I just love Kai. So anyways, I love any and all scenes that they're together. I just love it.
He zoomed on his motorcycle to greet her when they reunited at the airport, which was really sweet, even if Kai was being a tease the whole way through. I'm surprised that Meilin forgot the tracker in her bracelet, but maybe that was just Wish-chan reminding the readers.
I think so.
Yeah. In short, it's locked on her wrist. Melanie, do you remember when we saw those permanent bracelets on Love is Blind? The bracelets were welded closed on the wrists.
Yes, now, yeah.
That was like Nancy and Bartiz, and he said no to her. Well, sorry, spoilers for Love is Blind season 3. But so Nancy and Bartiz did not get married. But actually, I was reading up an article for this podcast to find out about those bracelets, and apparently it wasn't too hard to rip them off.
No.
I think Bartiz had one of his groomsmen take it off, and I think Nancy was so mad she ripped it off herself.
cute. Oh my god.
So not as forever as you may think.
I mean, because just medically speaking, oh, Melanie makes a medical. Take another drink, guys. But it's like also like if you have to do an emergency MRI or whatever, like those things have to be able to come off. So I mean, it makes sense. But yeah, but that's that whole season was cringe.
Back to the chapter, Malin admitted that she wasn't supposed to be in Japan, and Kai then brought her to Syaoran's apartment on his motorcycle. And there was like a little thing where she's like, oh no, my bag is gone, but that was just Kai's way of saying, well, you have no choice to come with me.
Was that triggering for you because of Cameron's bag getting stolen at an airport?
No, I wasn't even thinking about that because I knew like Kai had it all along, so it was never lost.
Yeah.
But guys, if you go to DC, like seriously, Cameron was just waiting in line for an Uber, and he was like on his phone, and his bag was at his feet, and someone literally just walked by, snatched it, and that was that. The end.
Yeah, Washington, D.C., our capital isn't great, guys, so be careful if you ever go there.
Back with SNS, Syaoran point blank asks Sakura if she liked Aaron. She was startled and ends up cutting her palm on a broken plate. Then Syaoran brings the palm to his lips, which I totally forgot about, and I was completely fangirling over.
And I think you can tell in the audiobook I forgot too, because you can hear me pause right before, and he brought it to his lips.
I love this podcast. I love your audiobook so that we can rediscover these moments again and again and again. He asked the question again and implored her to remember that Aaron is her enemy. But Sakura still wanted to give Aaron a chance as a friend, but not as a potential romantic interest. Then Syaoran says, well, if you don't like Aaron, go out with me. And we are all internally screaming.
So exciting.
Yeah, but of course this is exactly when Kai returns with Malin, so Sakura was saved from giving an answer. Malin then explained how she snuck away to Tomata, which was quite the elaborate scheme, because she was supposed to be on a school trip, but it's like... she's the responsibility of the chaperones and teachers. She's just gonna go like poof and no one's gonna say anything. I don't remember how they explain that.
So this is we'll find out here in a couple chapters, but this whole thing's a lie. Is she's actually coming to tell Syaoran he's not the chosen one. She was sent by the clan.
Oh, okay.
But at this point she doesn't want to tell Syaoran. But
okay.
So this whole thing is a lie.
Okay, great, because, it doesn't add up.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, oh, there's a school trip, I decided to ditch it, hee. But she did come bearing gifts and presented Syaoran with his father's sword. Sakura catches up with Malin, who pointedly asks her how things are going with Syaoran, and she gets a moment where she thinks she must have misunderstood him, even though his eyes didn't lie.
Oh, Sakura.
In Arc 4, the boy kisses her, and then she's like, oh, maybe I just imagined it.
Although I will say, I forget what chapter it is, but there's a point later on in this Arc 3 where she basically calls him to his face a hypocrite. And I'm like, yes, Sakura! Yes, call him out on his crap. You go, girl. I forget which chapter it is. I think it's coming up pretty soon after Starcross. But there is a point where she calls him out on his BS. And I'm like, yes, girl.
But she does want to do something special for him as a thank you. As they were chatting about her stay at Syaoran's, my question about why Sakura put Syaoran's kitchen utensils in the wrong place was answered, and it really was a prank war, since everything was misplaced on purpose.
Yes.
The next morning, Malin was able to get both Syaoran and Kai out of their respective beds by yelling that their mother was getting mad, and their reactions were quite funny.
Would
Like,
that work on Cameron? Because I know Cameron's hard to get up like I am.
oh no, no, no. The only thing that'll get the man stirring is coffee. That's my job. I wake up, I make him coffee, put it on his bedside, nudge him a bit. Coffee's ready. Go make his lunch.
You guys should have been a fly on the wall when I was there in Canada too, because not only did she have to take care of a morning person Cameron, but then there was also me. So then she would also have to tiptoe into my room and be like, "Hey, I brewed you coffee. Get up when you're ready. No hurry. I've been up for an hour, exercising and doing work. No big deal."
No, I think
like,
you know what? It's not even that. That was when so my coworker Gurdeep was on vacation, and Melanie was in town that same time, and I asked for time off. And they didn't want to give it to me because someone in my team was already off. And I'm like, no, I'll make it work. I'll work around. And I think I like woke up at 5 to work. And
that's what it was.
Yeah. So, and it's a good thing that Melanie was not a morning person. So I worked from like 5 to 9.
Because if I'm on vacation, I am sleeping in.
It worked out well. With Toya's return drawing near, Syaoran is really on top of his game for making sure Sakura eats her fill so that any weight loss isn't apparent, and he was taking the matters of her broken door from the Joker's escapade in his own hands. It's like, what's not to love?
Acts of service. Again, he's fixing her house for her. He's cleaning the house for her.
Yeah.
Making her food.
Yeah. With Sakura off to school, Syaoran finally had a moment with Meilin and asks for news from home. She reluctantly told him that the elders weren't pleased with his behavior and wanted to call him back. Meilin then gave Syaoran her full support to win over Sakura, and that's when he casually told her that he didn't think that Kai was a bad guy, which got her flustered.
That's gotta be hard though, like having the guy you love for years try to set you up with like anybody, like even though it's a friend, like that's gotta be hard.
Yeah.
Like, I feel for the girl, but my shipper heart is yay.
Yeah, but like she did realize that Syaoran was never gonna love her, and that's why she left Japan in the first place, for her to grow emotionally. And she's like, now like seeing her in Sakura's corner, it's like she really did grow, and the relationship with Kai is only going to flourish. Well, they'll have their ups and downs, but you know.
We're in the downs right now. So never get out of it. in arc 4, there's Jan.
It's okay. We've got some cute Meilin Kai moments to come.
Yeah, one of my favorite performances is coming up, I think, in the next couple chapters.
Yay!
But also, my one shining acting moment in this whole chapter, the one thing I will pat myself on the back for is when Meilin goes, oh. I was proud of that. I was like, okay, at least I have one shiny gold nugget in the rest of the awfulness that I did this chapter, but I was proud of that.
Syaoran did confess that he asked her out, but then he had to admit that Meilin ruined the moment. And even though Meilin told herself that she would always have feelings for Syaoran, it's still hard for her to watch him be in love with someone else. And that's where we end the chapter. So Dark Forces Corner, while there's no active Dark Forces, we did receive some follow-up chatter about the Phantom and the Crystal, and there's also the shout-out to the Joker, which I completely forgot about. He was the one who drove Sakura to live at Syaoran's place to begin with. For Fan Art Spotlight, back when I did my blog in 2018, Chapter 39 didn't have any fan art, so I drew one myself. So this one's called A Gentleman Agreement. and it's just Syaoran and Aaron doing the bet. And what I like about it is that it was inspired by the Sakura and Tomoyo fan art that I put up a few for chapter 37. So I see it as a nice companion piece.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I love it. It's so good. I love their facial expressions. I love it. What'd you call Tomoyo's look? Her gosh, what word did you use last time? It was so funny to me. Her devious look, or her God.
I don't know. We'd have to listen back to the podcast for that.
I know. But I love that Aaron's matches it. It's like his devious look. Started with the D. I don't know what you said.
Time for the author's notes.
Okay, another kind of short and sweet one. Question. I didn't really finish this chapter. I was supposed to get up to the musical production day. But I really wanted to get this chapter up before I went on vacation. Maybe I'll come back to edit it. But the star-crossed chapter is definitely next. Syaoran finally goes by impulse. Oh, tension between Aaron and Syaoran. Oh yeah, Balin's back for 2 weeks. Haha. Lots of people are coming back, huh? And then I'll try to get the chapter up. She talks about Christmas, but I will say my star-crossed chapter, guys, spoiler alert, is probably my best work ever. Just tossing it out there. So it kind of makes up for this chapter.
It's alright. You just have to oil the wheels. You have to get back in character, back on track. You're doing a huge job, and we're very, very grateful for all the work you do.
Keywords affirmation.
This podcast would not be a thing without your audiobook.
Thank you.
You've been listening to New Trials, the podcast, where it must rain for there to be a rainbow.
You've been listening to New Trials, the podcast. Please be sure to check out the audiobook version of this fan fiction that you can find anywhere that you can find this podcast. Also, please be sure to check out the Facebook fan page for New Trials, where a big part of the discussions happen nowadays. And be sure to stick around next time when we discuss Chapter 40, The Fate Determined by the Stars.